Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another stream once more. It is yours truly, KaneFan701. Now, I have to tell you, I really am feeling more positive, and I have to say, I wouldn't say enthusiastic, but it's definitely a very positive side that I'm feeling this week. Maybe it's just this super aftermath of after I've turned 32, and of course, you know, of having a tremendous birthday week a few weeks back, and that went 2 months into 2023, and so much is changing like very quickly. It's like this incredible rotation of the negativities that we're seeing are quickly being turned into a positiveness, and it's really having a positive influence on my mindset. And of course, it's making me come with peace and a lot of how should I say this? It's like a positive thing I'm saying. I really feel like I'm at peace with myself and I feel happy where I am in life. And honestly, all the things that have happened, in the last couple of years have slowly but gradually been going away. Like maybe it's the magical thing of when we move on, when we let go and move on in life and just try and focus on what the future can bring us. And that's kind of like where I'm at this point. But I still have to say the Thomas community is still like it's struggling to survive. The fandom, is really it's still in a rough shell place, but it has really, really been like making a tremendous comeback since last year. And I couldn't have seen some greater talents who have like tried to make some great stories, and they do like the dark ghost stories that we've seen, like the Wandering Coach or uh who else it was, like the Killed N experiment, or even the Half Engine, just to name a few, just that really, really made the fandom make a massive U-turn and have like gone to newer heights that we felt that they could achieve. And we've seen some of the legends of the trains fandom of Thomas continue to what they do best in the newer trains that they were using, and how they're still combating against the people who just absolutely hate them for nothing. It's like, when we're battling the elements of showing that even the fandom can have its own content and share with the world and basically be just as entertaining than the real thing that we see on television. And speaking of talents, this stream is especially dedicated to one individual who I actually befriend and who I'm actually a fan of, and who I so happen to be a fan of by accident. And he recently came back recently when I thought that many of us, including myself, thought he was gone, like the worst had happened to him. Um, let's just say, he's back and he looks in better health than I've ever seen him. It's you may recognize him as a voice actor from Thomas, who voiced him in Thomas's Heartbreak, as well as in the terrible three Alfred films. Despite that, they're really getting a 180-degree mixed reactions nowadays because of dare I say his name once and that's that. But the guy I'm referring to who voiced Thomas is called Sonic the Mobian Siren, and let me tell you, it is just so it's really great to see him come back after a long absence, and I couldn't have been more happier to see him come back because he is one of the best out there who can voice our favorite little tank engine, but he can also do others as well. But there's something about his voice dubbing as Thomas that really fits the character, the look, and the personality that he delivers. And I've seen him do this before, and it just makes me smile. Like it's a very positive influence that he's got with this, this impersonation that he has. And if he's watching this, this is a good shout out to you, pal. And if you ever want to come into this, you're more than welcome to pop in and we can catch up on a lot of things. But I did hear about the reasons why you were absent, and if any of you guys want to know about that, just go to his channel and it will actually explain. He will explain the reason why he's been gone for a long time. And I was one of those who thought the worst had happened to him. But no, he's in good health, he's back, he's better than he's ever has been, to be honest, and it couldn't have come at a perfect timing to where we're at right now. You're right, T Crash. Nice to see you again, pal. We definitely are in a new fandom. Well, I wouldn't say we're in a new fandom. Let me correct that. It's true that we're seeing the new golden age of the Thomas community rising with much more improvement which is what we wanted. But I wouldn't say the fandom of the old is dead, but I guess the old of the fandoms that most of us became a part of is kind of a shell of its former self. But I have to say it's because of all the toxic users who destroyed it and made it into a terrible place, and that's why many of them had to leave, or some chose to leave on their own accord. Like myself, I left. If you remember, a few years ago, I had to leave because I had so much toxicity going on. I could not bother to be around with it anymore. So I went into what we call a preserved fandom of the Toms community, which is what a lot of us are in today. And since then, we've pressed forward and we've just been hanging on despite the terrible reboot of Thomas, despite what the company and Mattel have done so badly that they're literally now targeting other people, which is a true fact. And this is something that we need to clash with and really need to put a lid on, because fans like ourselves have the right to show our content to entertain our fan bases here on this place and other parts. It's just a new way of keeping the franchise going, but it's kind of like we're preserving the franchise. When we have our own stories to tell, our own timelines, and kind of like in the direction that I think Reverend W. Audrey would want it to continue if he was still with us. As you can tell, T Crash, like you just said, we are seeing a new golden age of the fandom, yes, but with more improvements of what it was before. So hardly anyone could tell the difference if you think about it, because a lot of people have been remastering some of their old contents in better ways than ever, which is a great thing. But sometimes you can't beat the original. That's just me and me alone. But you are right. We are seeing a lot of fan content, and it's truly better than it ever has been. And I think a lot of people are actually recognizing this, but are afraid to show it from a global perspective. Hey, Jessica, nice to see you. Yes, random like Michael Brown, it's nice to see you there. Yes, before we get into that, I am very aware that about the autism community and myself being Asperger's syndrome and all. That's something that I take very personally. Now, I know I'm going to share this, but this is the truth, and the Thomas fandom, and I mean the entire fandom, whether you're just an ordinary fan or if you're an old school fan like myself, or if you're just getting into it, I think the community is on both sides, which is the Thomas community and, of course, the autism community definitely need to get together and really sort this problem out, because this is not going to go down well. This is actually true. The company that has made Thomas is only bleeding out money and just shoving more poison down the railroad track. This is true. I've seen the reports. I've seen people who are going, who are reporting that this is really bad. And just because, hating an autism community and using Thomas to promote self-hatred on it, that is really bad. That is probably, quote unquote, in Star Wars related, probably the most darkest side I have ever seen a company go, to target people who don't even think properly, but they love Thomas to a degree. Because when I first got into it at the age of 1, I wasn't even diagnosed with my condition until I was about 4 years old or something. But here's the thing. If it wasn't for Thomas, I wouldn't have fallen in love with steam trains, for 31 plus years. That's how long I've been as a train enthusiast, because of our famous number 1. And I didn't even believe that trains were real until I saw the real things on TV, on VHS videos, and saw the real stuff at the National Railway Museum in York, or even travelled on the Flying Scotsman, Tornado, for example, or even all the other engines. It goes to show that a fictional character, even though it's based on a real thing, can help people with disabilities like myself, or any form of case, can actually, show the transportation of the railroad. The railroad of railroad. Wait, let me rephrase that. I mean the railway of steam trains diesels and electric. You know, it's just that's what it means. It goes to show what the real thing's like. That's what the original television series was saying. You know, when we grew up with it explained to us how life on the railway is, from the railway staff to Sir Toppinhat himself, to controllers who run railways, to the passengers who board the trains and, go to their destinations and whatnot. And we see the connection that the railroad and the railways, sorry, um, of course, along with the roads, like, with cars and trucks and lorries, everything in transportation is all linked together. Where you see how the helicopter, you see Bertie the bus, you see, like, Thomas and his friends, all sorts of transportation come together to help. And it teaches people like me how the transportation world works, whether you drive cars, lorries, trains, or flying airplanes or whatnot. You know, it really is. That's how you learn from it. You learn from the fictional world to what the real world's like. I mean, heck, we even see the crashes in the TV series. They're based on real events, and that can happen. And it's been that way ever since before Thomas even existed. And it helps you learn the real things, that accidents in life can happen, disasters can happen, anything can happen in the real world. And it shows you, like we saw in the original series. Hoppy off the railway. Look, mate, I think it's safe to say you can truly see that not only have I truly changed. Look, mate, I've been this way since last year. You just haven't seen the physical change that it has been. Maybe on here on the internet, people might think I'm still a quote unquote unchanged. But the thing is, if you listen to the voice of me, and if you were sitting next to me or saw me outside the internet, you can see that that's the real me. Here, I'm just expressing myself. And this is how I explain myself when I'm not here. So this is like, the real Kane Fan 701 offline. And of course, when I express my opinions, if you want to call them opinions, or what I'm seeing through my eyes and what this broken world has been, I stand in a neutral zone. I'm not against anything. It's just the fact is I have my ways of who I will select with and who I feel comfortable with. Like I said before, I found my way back into life. And the greatest thing that ever happened was, I had some good advice from a certain somebody who I will not mention. He said, the only person who can fix up the problems is yourself. And that's exactly what I've been up to. Even if I try and correct people who I feel have cruelly wronged me, they may not be able to see that. But I can tell you who I was, if you want to go back to 2020 or the pre pandemic time. Let's just say it's safe to say I wasn't quite fully matured as you would like to think. And and this happens to a lot of us. We might think we might be that way, but there are times where we feel like we're not the type of a person we think we are. And this has been really bothering me for a long time. Like, there are times where I feel like I'm great and happy with myself. I feel like I am the mature, grown adult that I am. And then there are times where I just fall back into a false sense of security and feel immature, or I feel like I've done really bad, and it can actually have a bad effect. When we all make mistakes in life, and mistakes are there to be learned, and and we can make us better people. But people have gone about with me like I did, like the wrong things that you would consider quote unquote evil. But to put this all aside, I've really, really done well. And the support that some of you guys have shown, and including Sonic the Morbid Saiyan, is one of those guys who really stood by me, and I really appreciate his support a lot, which is why this stream is dedicated to him, and I'll get back to him at some point. But it's also to do with the tying with the Thomas fandom as well. Because not only did I suffer in the whole problem during that time period when we were all in an absolute shattered state, when we were full of uncertainty and fear during the pandemic, and of course the chaos that followed, with political and outside life, where humanity basically became its own worst enemy. You know, we were all suffering it in many different ways. And it is difficult to explain how we were all affected differently. And it has changed bad, mainly for the worst in a way, but the way we've gone about it was like a trial and error. And somehow we've managed to put ourselves back together, but we're not quite the same guys as we were before. That's kind of what happened to me. And I've been cruelly misunderstood. You know, I mean, the fandom cruelly misunderstood me after everybody, on social media did the wrong thing of trying to make me as a bad guy. And I did lose a lot of my mates in the process, but they failed to see, you know, to have not seen who I was. If people had seen what I was going through in my personal life off the internet, then you would understand why I've gone down the quote unquote light and darker path, because there was no side to turn with other than staying in the middle, to stay neutral. But my physical health was badly damaged, but my mental health was intact, completely intact, you know. So there's a big difference. Okay, T Crash, you made some very, very good points there. I mean, look at the museums that have accommodated in the spectrum. Well, I think you make a good point there, but I'm not sure if I want to compare that to an autism spectrum. But I can see what you mean. Oh Jesus! You say you've been here for far too long, and your American energy is rubbing off. Okay, I get the joke. I get that. I'm not too. I'm okay with the RS1 and other diesels as well. Like they're okay. Alco made some very good American diesels back in the day. That's one thing. Um, okay. Hopefully for the railway, it's intriguing to see that you really are speaking with me, and you can tell that like I said, if if I seem like I'm a truly changed bloke, I think you are. Well, like I said, you wouldn't tell the difference if I was or not. But I'm feeling a lot positive, and I feel like I'm in a very good spot. This is how my mindset is in at the minute, because 2023 is already like, 2 months in, and I'm seeing like the physical effects, and it's made me again feel different, not about myself, but the world in general. Because look how far we've come from the darkest time of our existence to where we are now, from the pandemic outbreak that, really, really broke a lot of us. Well, I wouldn't say too broken, but it did like break those who lost hope. And then, as I hate to say it, the whole thing regarding who races matters after the May 25th incident, which has left a bad scar on my life and for a lot of us, because looking back on it now, it is not how we think it was. And what happened then was repeated last month, but none any of us in my kind doing it at all. But it then got to the point where I saw a recent individual or a younger teenager who's going to serve the rest of his life behind, steals of bars and whatnot for killing 10 dark flesh people because of his hatred of all the BS stuff I was seeing, who's now I'm not going to mention. It made me come to clear that really the United States has become badly divided, and I mean badly divided, in this racial war that's been going on. And this is where my concerns, it goes beyond the ordinary level of worrying us for you guys, because I worry that you might become unfortunate victims of what could happen during the protesting and the hatred and everything else that's happened. And this is kind of the effect that happened to me in 2020, but I've explained in better detail now, and that's why people can understand where I now stand is in the neutral zone, because I'm not picking any sides of who matters the most. you know just take this for example. Peel the flesh back, we have the same blood. We're all human beings regardless. Just look beyond the word, because a lot of people have misinterpreted the term of who matters more, and I've seen this continue happening on, and it's got to the point where I'm just sick and tired, and I just don't care about it anymore. I look beyond it, and I just pretend it's not there. We focus on the real thing in life is to keep on living and survive. And of course, we try and mend a lot of broken fences if we can, because I will admit never intended. I never intended to do, to become the person that a lot of people want to recognize me for. And I'll admit I do regret, and I have more remorse than ever. But the one thing I will say is that I should have gone about the way I said things in 2020 and 2021 a lot more better. But you got to understand the state I was in. I was physically broken after ordeal after ordeal in my life and my family. Nearly losing my mom from heart surgery for 6 hours, my sister-in-law, who I had a reunion with a few weeks ago, who I've not seen since 2018, who nearly died from an early stage of cancer, and then coming to realize that all my nephews have survived when we had that COVID wave in London the first time. They've all survived. And the ordeal that I had was just, you know, it was over. It was like the ordeal of that had broken me physically was finally put to rest. And that really did wonders when I felt a lot better to know that they're still here and alive. And that took a huge, huge amount of pressure off of me, and I felt so much better. Oh, I see what you mean, T Crash. You mean you're accommodating by giving the reductant stimulus experiments and see if the company can top that. Oh, I see what you mean now. I'm just seeing what T Crash is just saying. I see. I kind of misinterpreted what he was saying in the last one, but yeah, he does bring us some good points there. I will agree. Yes, Michael Brown, I'm aware that you're making your own Thomas fan series, but I'm going to be strictly honest. I've kept this in for a long time. Don't get pissed about this, pal. But unfortunately, I'm very limited of voice dubbing right now, and I hate to say it, but I won't be able to. But I do wish you the best of luck. And that's all I can say. Indeed. I'm glad you said that, pal. Yep, the Alco Diesels and the RS1s are really good. Well, at least there's a lot of people who can relate to what we've all been through in the last couple of years. That's definitely a good sign. Hmm, I wonder if. Alternative voice acting is an opinion. Well, that's controversial. I can agree with that. Hang on, guys. I'm still here. I'll just be right back. Just ignore that, lads. That's just me getting a notification. I mean, there are some other things that have really happened in the Thomas fandom that have definitely been going up and down, but the fandom is still sticking on its own 2 feet. It's just like not going down at all. Like it's like no matter what, no matter what obstacle is thrown, it still remains upright. And it's just amazing. Like, can I see you, man? So, um, okay, I'm back. Last sorry about that. Hmm. Okay. Well, you may have left the fandom a long time ago, pal, because look, I ain't gonna be fooled. Because I never left, but I still remained in the preserved version where someone like whose name I'm not gonna mention who could be here in the sky, I don't know, but Jesus, you know, it's really bad. This ain't good. Hang on. Just getting more notifications here. Oh, they're coming back and forth. If anybody does want to join, you're more than welcome. Because I did leave a notification, but I'm very limited to who I'm going to have in there. Okay. Uh, Indeed. It's good to know that there are some people who can change in life. The thing is, it just takes ages for them to see it. But I'm not so sure if everybody else can say the same thing for other guys in the fandom. It does make me question it. But at the same time, we should give people the opportunity to do that. Ugh. I know there were some people like how I'm not going to mention with who have taken it so long for them to see that I'm back to the good lad that I am. Just take some time. But people in these day and ages just don't give them the opportunity and they'll always think they'll be unchangeable. It does frustrate me a lot. Don't get me wrong, I know a certain individual who might be here watching this right now, but when it comes to people who ask over and over for voice dubbing and people just don't want that, you know, and they continuously bombard people, and it just, for a couple of years that was the case with one certain individual who I'm not going to mention, but I have a good hunch he's watching this right now. He might be in the chat, who knows? But at the same time, that was just something I was not going to accept. And anybody else who knows who I'm referring to knows how, demoralizing and, of course, you know, how immature it was. But like I said, people always ask me to voice in mine, but I'm very strict with what I've got. And again, I'm very limited with what I've got. So I'm not, I may not be in my prime anymore as a voice dubber, but I am making a comeback and I've still got it in me a little bit. Indeed. You make a good point there, T Crash. If anybody who doesn't know about railways or whatever, that's a good place to go to. The Hawkswood Legacy developer. That definitely would work. And like I said, there's just a lot of things, you know, a lot of things that have happened in life that we don't expect. You know, I mean, we've all done silly things in life, but for the last couple of years, it made even the best and good people turn into bad guys, and some have never recovered. I was one of those guys who almost became that. Even though I still get it here and there, I'm not the same person. I'm back. I'm trying to be more improved of who I was beforehand. And as you know, some people will still continue to think, I'm just doing it out of desperation. In truth, I'm not. I'm just picking up all the pieces and just trying to put them back into a better individual. Oh man. Like I said, I just feel like in a way, like guys like Sonic the Mob Slang has been gone for a long time, and I was worried in case the worst had happened to him. But it was because of guys like him, guys guys like who I can't pronounce as much, I want to say that out of respect. But there were other guys like you out there who have like never given up on me, and you could tell that in a couple of years it would all blow over. And I'm just glad it has, and I feel happy where I'm at right now because I stood there, took on everything, and I'm still here. But I feel happy where I am in life. I really am honest with you, and to be quite honest, even more honest and openly, I feel like I need to make peace with a lot of you guys, with some of you who were unintentionally hurt by mistakes that I had done, and I will admit it was never intentional. And all I ask now is a slow progress of closure and peace until we could move on. And this can help the new and with the fandom itself, not just with Thomas, but with MLP, Star Wars, the anime community, you know, every form of community that there is out there, like Star Trek and even with the wrestling and all that stuff. If we can all put that together, try and do that, we can make things even better for everybody because we're in the post-pandemic stages now. So, and think about it, we have things that are going on in the East right now, which are in shambles, which is the more focal point of helping us get together. And I think that's had an effect on a lot of us. Listen, Michael Brown, Star Wars is still going strong because of the fandom that we're all part of with. It doesn't matter what Disney has done. They're trying it with other series and whatnot, but they just, but ever since like they did the whole thing in 2015 and onwards, it became a bad joke. But to be quite honest, it's all down to a matter of your opinions, you know, and that's just me. I'm not like those guys out there who would like to say how crappy or shitty it was. That's just not me. You wouldn't hear someone like me say that directly. All I would say to Disney was a bad mistake. They had intentions, but it did not come off as we wanted it. It's like basically it wasn't used correctly. The same way that Mattel has done with Thomas. Despite they're doing okay with merchandising, well, I think merchandising is going to take a bad hit in a few years or whatever it's going to happen if I'm foreseeing this properly. But they don't know how to use Thomas since the reboot. All because of that. And then after that, they're just like, and of course, like you guys have said, everybody's been hearing about now that they're hating the autism community of Thomas fans, and now they've messed up the Satopanat's name. We can't call him by his old name anymore. It's just that's very ludicrous. I think that's the proper way how to say it. But and the fandom itself is still kicking on really good. I mean, because we find new talents who make their own content, and it's just incredible. Some of the details and the writings that they do is just literally out of this world. Oh boy, this is interesting. Okay. Yes, T Crash. I did see the new parody. It was. I will admit, I did get a little chuckle here and there, but then again, a bit of laughter and parody does do wonders, and I think that was one of them. I'm gonna have to say this, mate. I'm sorry, but wow. I had a funny feeling it was you, Mason. So you decided to finally unmask yourself to me out of respect. Wow. Can't believe it, pal. You actually had the guts to do it. And literally on my stream as well. Damn. Talk about being not the only person who to turn himself around. Hey there, Luca. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. Oh, T Crash, not that line again, please. That is quite funny. Ugh. Hey there, Luca. Nice to see you, pal. It has been a long, long time. Nice looking icon as well. That's pretty cool. As I said before, Michael Brown, Star Wars is still amazing, but Disney just doesn't know how to use it. Like I said before, there are many people who are talented and they have their own ways of being creative with their content. But when we see what they are on the screen, like we saw in Star Wars, it just wasn't the same as we had all had seen it with, like it was from episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That to me is the trilogy, regardless. I wonder what side the my Morbin Saiyan would think. Because if he was on here right now, he'd definitely be into this discussion that we're having. Because who knows what he would thinking because he just recently just came back. But yeah, it would be quite cool to know what his side of things would be. Hmm, indeed. Okay, T Crash. If you want to join in, you can actually pop in the link if you wanted to. You're more than welcome to join. You seem like you're free. The Jedi is oh Jesus. Why does that sound like they came off of a Thomas Y2P? Okay, it seems like I'm back down to 4 watches now. I had 9 earlier on. Holy crap. Ah, that's alright, T Crash. Whenever you come back in, be free to pop in because I'll be here for a while. I'm doing good, Luca. If you want to pop in, the link's right there. Come and join in. Been on my own for like nearly 40 minutes now. There's just so much good stuff, like I said, and the fandom is really, really like rebranding itself so well. As T Crash said, as you can definitely see here, this is the truth. We are seeing, well, it's the birth of a new age for the fandom, definitely. The fan content we have seen is amazing. Like I said, it's out of this world. And of course, Michael Brown did actually bring up some good stuff. He even mentioned this. Same here. I don't believe any of that either. Yeah, that's one of the things that really has happened so badly in this world. I'm doing good, Luca. Like I said, I've really done so well. You've missed quite a lot, but I'm still here. Oh, damn my jaw. But after watching recent other things outside of the fandom, where I've seen other users who have talked about some of the, the darker stuff on what's wrong with past people who are no longer with us, who have become their own worst enemies. When it comes to incels, which I'm not going to get into too much, but that's something that's recently been bugging me. And boy, oh boy, did that terrify me. Seeing people who had success in life, or then they end up becoming downward spirals and become completely different people, and the red flags are there, and no one takes it seriously. I mean, this has happened a lot in the United States, I've seen, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, does that scare me badly. That's definitely had an effect on me as well. And again, it helped me change the direction I was almost going to go down to. But the good thing is, though, uh, it kept me on the path I needed to go, and that wasn't just redemption. It was basically staying in the neutral zone of life. That's technically where I'm at still. But as I said before, since turning 32 and how this year's already been already, has really made me feel positive where I'm at right now. I really do feel like I'm in a very good place. So yeah, I feel really happy. Just trying to figure out what to find next because okay. Let's see now. I would put something on with my training stuff, but I haven't got much to do with it. In any case, is Sonic Morbin, back to you. Uh, how did I first come to know him, and how did I become a fan? Well, instantly, it's no secret. It basically the first time I heard him was on Thomas's Heartbreak, which was one of the best things he ever did. It was a bit strange, but I have to say it was again with content was very unique. It was like anything I'd ever seen before, and of course, he later would do Thomas in Alfred 2 and Alfred 3, which is where I got to know his character really well. And if you find my comments, I actually praised Sonic for his amazing talent as Thomas because he sounded like him if you would hear him from the television series. That's how I would vision it, and it was really cool. And of course, in quite honestly, I don't think nobody could have done it better than he did. That's for where he was going to go next. I don't know where he's been since, but he was really amazing. Like sometimes when I hear his voice, it just really fits the character, like in the trains models of the TV series, or depending on what certain story we've had. It's just really cool, and he just knows how to deliver the lines so well, like like a professional, and that's the best thing about him. He like knows how to deliver a Thomas voice that is just bang on. And I have to admit, I really think he's one of the greatest in the modern Thomas community to ever voice our favorite Blue Little E2. I mean, there are other guys like Tank Engine 97, who was, in my opinion, the RWS version of Thomas, period. That's just me because you've heard him voicing my Timothy film, and you heard him voice in the Clinchfield film. He even did Oliver and Bill and Ben. So he's good at voicing others, but when you hear him doing Thomas's voice, it does seem like there's a cool thing about it that just clicks instantly. It's just like with Sonic the Morbin Saiyan as well. He knows how to bring a character to make it almost realistic. Now, if I was to quote unquote redo my films, if it were to happen, say like a what if, Sonic the Morbin would definitely be voicing Thomas if I did a remaster of it. Or if I ever did new audio stories, regardless, that would probably be the case. It all depends on what I would do. I mean, if I had the TVS Thomas, it's definitely going to be Sonic the Morbin. Or if it was Railway Series Thomas, it'd be Tank Engine 97. That's just me, because I can envision those two guys voicing the two different universes of him. And of course, there would be no CGI Thomas, because to hell with that. And there wouldn't be any of that stupid rebooting either. It all depends on who we envision in our heads, who can do the voice roles well. I mean, heck, I remember doing it back in the days when I was just starting out, and I'm going to have to admit, my Thomas voice was absolutely terrible. Like, I literally just didn't know how to voice him. Like, even now, even if I use my Eagle voice, when I voiced in NWR Origins, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't go with his character. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love Thomas. It's just, I can't see my voice matching him. Hey, Luca, if you want to join in, I have got the link here for you, pal. Just pop in, it's alright. Hmm. Well, it does look like things are going to get a lot better. I think this year is definitely going to be a lot more better for the Thomas community. I mean, 2022 definitely was a big turnaround, and it's only going to get even better this year. I do feel like we're in a good position to see the new golden age of the fandom definitely get back on its own 2 feet and just get even more greater. I mean, heck, with the return of Sonic the Morbin Saiyan, I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing if he'll ever voice Thomas ever again. Because honestly, I'd love to see him come back and do the voice role, regardless of who he works with, because he knows how to deliver what he can do, and he's a good friend that I consider to idolize. And I'm glad he's back. And if he ever wants to come again to see one of my streams or communicate, he knows where to find me. Again, if you hear this, pal, it's just good to see you that you've come back and you look a lot more better than you ever have done in life. I'm just glad you're still here, pal. And to be honest, as a fan of yours, I hope you do more in the future. Like, whatever you got in store, I wish you nothing but the best. And for your future endeavors as well. So you got my support, and if you ever need me, I'll definitely be there to help out if you do. Like, if you want me to voice for you, I'll be more than willing to do so. Because quite frankly, I think it's time, because I am slowly getting back into voice dubbing, and who knows, if you ever got a role for me, I'll take it. So, best of luck to you, pal, and wish you all the best. And for those of you who have been watching, I want to take this time for you to say, to thank you for tuning in for this, because this was a bit of a mixture of what I really wanted to get out and explain a lot, and and briefly to explain that 2023 has already made a massive impact on my life, and I've got a much clearer picture of what things have been going on outside, and I just feel like right now I feel like I'm in a much better position than I ever was 3 years ago. And I do know that it will take more time for those who will not be able to see the 100% changing individual that I am. But the good thing is, though, I feel very happy with myself, and after all the things and the great advices that I had been told to do, definitely worked. And to be quite honest, I do feel happy where I'm at. If you were to see me in person, I'm much more honest and more open. And that's how I've been. I'm just glad to know that things turned out much better than they should have been. But if I were to go back in time, if I am today, I probably would have got a lot more better, and I wouldn't have lost everybody, like nearly everybody in the fandom. And I'm just glad that Sonic Mobian is really good, and I'm glad he's doing fine. I will admit I am worried. I was worried that the worst had happened to him because he was gone for a very, very long time. I'm just glad he's still here, and if you see his stream, it shows you what he's been up to, and he explains everything. So you don't need me to tell me. And yeah, if he ever does ever have a project in mind, I'll be more than happy to voice for him. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in for this nearly hour stream. And again, a quick shout out. Welcome back, Sonic the Morbin Saiyan. Again, it'll be wonderful to see you back in the mix again. And best of luck to you and to everything you've got in store. So take care, my friend. And as my good buddies Tidiest.19 would say, smooth running and dry rails, everybody. And for you guys watching in the chat, it's been an honor to hear from you again. Take care, T Crash Productions, and you too, Luca. It's nice to see you back in. And again, I'm doing very well, in case you were asking. Michael Brown, thanks for your words. Definitely meant something. As for okay, hang on, who's this guy again? Hope of the Railway, aka Mason Hagen in disguise, which I can tell because you unmasked yourself to me in the comments as proven. Listen, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's for safe reasons. Even though out of respect, as you said, there's no way you'll ever get back into my own. And I have no intentions of bringing you back in to anything. I don't want anything to happen ever again. It's better off you move on. And maybe it's best you stay out of the community for your safety and for everybody else. That's the advice I can give you. And yes, guys, I had to bring that out because it's obviously that was the guy in disguise who has been giving us a lot of grief. Okay? So anyways, guys, hope you've all enjoyed this. I might come back again at a later time, but I won't be free for the rest of the week because I've got a very busy, tight schedule outside of my internet life. But I'll still be here. So take care, everybody. This is KFan701. Once again, welcome back, Sonic Morbin Slayer. Take care, everybody. Peace.